for the upcoming local government elections. You may be aware that President Ramaphosa has, in terms of Section 2A of the Constitution, I like the Constitution, my apologies. Section 2A of the Public Holidays Act of 1994, the President has declared Monday, the 1st of November 2021, the date for the local government elections. It is a public holiday throughout our country. We also want to state upfront that the COVID-19 is supported by the JCPS Cluster, as outlined in the regulations. We will be in full support behind the IEC on these matters. The safety and security measures which we have been talking about is that the net joints will continue to meet weekly, and that we continue to analyze the safety and security situation within the country. Net joints has also put measures into place to protect all our citizens as they get ready to exercise their constitutional right to vote on the 1st of November. We can confidently declare today that all safety and security measures have been put in place, as I said, to ensure that we have a free and fair elections, starting from the 30th, the 31st of October, from 8 to 5 in the afternoon, we will be having special votes, and on the 1st of November, we will have the normal elections for local government. All relevant security-aligned departments within the 3 spheres of government have worked tirelessly and in a continuous and coordinated manner to ensure that we deliver a successful local government elections. As a cluster, we want to assure the public that all areas will be accessible to all citizens to exercise their constitutional right to vote. NetJoins has put together a plan to secure the elections, and this plan is managed by the national, provincial, and district and local NetJoins. This plan is to ensure that there is sufficient police visibility in and around voting stations around the country to prevent crime and or intimidation of voters and any role player. Furthermore, members of SABC will be deployed at all provincial result centers to ensure the integrity of the finalization of the results. The deployment of SABC, of SANDF, and other law enforcement agencies will be determined and be guided by structured threat analysis and crime patterns. Over and above the physical analysis and the deployments of SABC officers at the voting districts, reserve forces from the police will be on standby to provide additional assistance should the need arise and around the identified hotspots. In other words, we have had a look at the country as a whole. We have identified areas which give us concerns. We have ranked these areas, the hotspots, into medium, low, and high risk areas, and we will be deploying accordingly. We have the Intelligence Coordinating Committee that has conducted a security threat assessment, and they have assured us that the country is relatively stable and that this is conducive to a free and fair elections. The ICC has conducted a security threat analysis, as I said, and accordingly we will deploy. All forms of criminality will not be tolerated before, during, and after the voting period. We would like to remind South Africans that the incitement of violence is also a criminal offence. Interfering with the work of the IEC, interfering or threatening IEC officers is also a transgression that is punishable by law. As the security cluster, we again want to assure the country that law enforcement agencies will be on hand at every voting station to ensure that the democratic process is not disturbed in any way whatsoever, and that the elections are free and fair, and that everybody exercises their choice in whatever manner they choose. The security cluster is encouraged by the continuous monitoring and evaluation by the Interministerial Committee that was tasked by President Ramaphosa to end the political violence in KwaZulu-Natal. The IMC has established a task team to investigate the political matters dating back to May 2018. This task team comprises of operational representatives from the JCPS Cluster, and the mandate of this task team is to ensure that the perpetrators of politically related crimes are brought to book. The prosecutorial-led investigations have ensured watertight cases and heavy sentences being handed down to the killers of political players in KwaZulu-Natal. Since its inception, the task team has made several arrests and secured multiple life sentences, as well as sentences between 10 and 15 years on politically related cases. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that the task team has prevented more bloodshed in KwaZulu-Natal. It has been instrumental in bringing simmering political tensions under control and in ensuring that the rule of law is restored through justice for the victims of political crimes. The team has made many arrests, of which there have been many life sentences, as I said, and we are also confident that the impressive work of this high-level team and its track record will continue to inspire hope for peace in the affected areas, not only in KwaZulu-Natal, but throughout South Africa. The SABC will continue to investigate all cases of violence associated with the run-up to this election period and to the election day. Now, the Department of Home Affairs has a crucial role to play in the elections, as it is the only department that issues enabling documents that are accepted for voting purposes. The department issues smart ID cards, green barcoded IDs, and temporary identity certificates, all of which are accepted by the IEC. From Monday, the 18th of October 2021, the Department of Home Affairs has extended its operating hours by 2 hours in the 197 out of the 412 offices. And this has given it the capacity to help those who need their smart IDs and their passports. This intervention is aimed at meeting the demands for the services, but also specifically for the elections on the 1st of November. Members of the public have responded well to this call, as we have witnessed an increased number of people who have visited the offices in the past week. The department will continue extending its operating hours. On Saturday the 30th and Sunday the 31st of October and Monday the 1st of November, all 412 Department of Home Affairs offices will open between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. During the voting period, Home Affairs will assist people who have lost or who have misplaced their IDs to apply for temporary identity certificates as per the requirements of the IEC to resolve duplicate cases. As of the 22nd of October, there were 370,000 uncollected IDs at the Home Affairs offices. We call upon people who have applied for their IDs more than 2 weeks ago to visit their nearest Home Affairs offices to collect their documents. Under the ambit of net joints, the South African National Defence Force will be on standby to provide support to the IEC and to the South African Police Services. The South African National Defence Force will protect all national key points. In accordance with the amended Electoral Act number 4 of 2021, a provision is made for the establishment of the Electoral Court that deals with electoral disputes, complaints about infringements of the Electoral Code of Conduct, and that will investigate any allegation of misconduct, incapacity, or incompetence of the members of the IEC. These courts will be available in each of the voting districts. Ladies and gentlemen, the JCPS Cluster will ensure that the local government elections are conducted in a safe and secure environment. We also declare that we are operationally ready to execute our mandate and to ensure a safe and secure environment for all to participate in the free and fair elections in our country. In conclusion, we would like to urge all political party leaders not to make inflammatory statements with the potential to incite any violence within our communities. We would also want to urge all political leaders to adhere to the Electoral Code of Conduct that was signed on the 1st of October 2021 by all political parties contesting the local government elections of 2021. Political party representatives pledged to abide by the Code of Conduct and committed themselves to ensure that their candidates, their members, and supporters conduct themselves in a manner which is conducive to free and fair elections. Ka jalo ra kopa, diragatsang ditshepiso tsa lona. We wish all South Africans well as they exercise their constitutional right to vote for the candidates of their choice in local government elections 2021. Ke a leboga.
Thank you very much, Minister Modise, Co-Chair, Minister Kele, and Minister Mzwaledi, Home Affairs, and virtually Minister Lamula. May I take this opportunity to then invite our colleagues and members of the media to engage with the ministers. We will take the first 5 questions and allow the ministers to respond, and then we'll take another if should there be any. May I invite our colleagues from the media to ask questions. Please say your name and the institution you come from. The lady there at the back.
Hi, it's Natasha Perry here from SABC News. Minister Modise, you spoke about the various hotspots that you've identified. I know that Minister Kele had visited KZN last week. I know that Independent was one of the hotspots, but can you perhaps give us a list of various other hotspots? Also, which voting stations would you be increasing the capacity at? Furthermore, Minister Kele, I think you're aware of the killings that have been happening here in the city of Tshwane, political killings. So apparently there are reports of a group that is called Boko Haram. Most of their members have been killed. Are there any investigations in this regard? And I mean, have you verified whether this group is actually linked to, high-powered politicians or councillors? Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone further? Do we have somebody online? Ministers, I think the statement looks to have been clear. May I invite the ministers to respond in accordance to
thanks, Ministers, the co-chair. Natasha Nukuku. Kukhuluma uMinister Modise ubuza mina wena. Hayi wena. Uhlala ngami. Yes, the question of hotspots, we have almost 4 provinces that are regarded as such. Is KZN, is Gauteng, is the Western Cape and Eastern Cape, but not necessarily that other provinces are that peaceful. There are pockets of the problems here and there. Your Northwest, your Free State, your Mpumalanga, and Limpopo. As you know, what has just happened in Limpopo vis-a-vis the 4 kids and all that. So, but 4 top provinces that are giving us problem. The stations have been categorized, as the minister has said. It will be in 3 categories: the low risk, the medium risk, and the high risk. That will be deployed accordingly, depending on the level of the risk of that particular polling station. Fortunately, big portion of about 19,000 plus will be on the low risk, and we'll have about 3,000 that will be on the medium, and I think between 270 to 300 that are of the high risk around the country. But they also change. There might be those that are on the medium risk today, and they move to the high risk, and vice versa. So, as the Minister of Defence have said, that the net joints, ICC, and the NICOC, they are monitoring all these issues as we go forward. That would be your hotspots. The problem you raised in Gauteng, as you said, that Gauteng is one of the hotspots as a province, is more restricted to Tshwane area rather than the whole province. It will be basically your Mamelodi, your Mabopane, your Ashretville, Winterfell. Very fortunately, 2 days ago, there were serious operations around those places, of which the Premier of the province, the MEC, the Minister, we joined those operations of the police there, trying to work on prevention, because prevention in policing is just like in health, Minister Motsoaledi, that prevention is always the best. But if it does happen, then we go for investigation. The issue raised of Boko Haram, you know that one of the top guys that was regarded as a leader of Boko Haram has been arrested in Mamelodi, and that will be, because he has appeared in court, we can call his name, that is Keke. But there are other people that are coming up and up to take his place. And you raise the issue of the death there between and among themselves that are fighting over terrain. For the police, is not who kills who. It's for them to investigate once there is a murder, not really look faces and hands that kill. We are doing just that. It is on that score that both in Mabopane and Mamelodi, we have created the special teams of investigation, both led by the brigadiers both in Mabopane and in Mamelodi. You remember that Tsepo, who has just been killed as a candidate, was not the first one to be killed. So the team is looking from the very first councillor that was killed there. And then they're also investigating in Mamelodi. But more than that, the management of the police have deployed extra forces in both Mamelodi and Mabopane, that as we speak, they are patrolling now, coming from sometimes our special units, your TROT, the NIU, if it is necessary, in order to cool off those temperatures before the time comes. That is the same thing in KZN. The National Commissioner and the visible policing, they have sent extra personnel and extra machinery in places like KZN to enable the provincial commissioners in those provinces to work on those matters. In Western Cape, I think it was on Friday, not Saturday, I guess Saturday, 150 cars were provided in Western Cape. In Western Cape, we have got about 193 extra people that have been sent working there to quell the violence and crime in the stations that are known like your Delft, your Khayelitsha, Makaza, and Marikana, those areas. So that's the Western Cape. Unfortunately, in Eastern Cape, as we speak, there is a problem of the blockade in one of the main roads, that is N10 in Eastern Cape, where there are trucks that have blocked there. Both Minister of Transport and Minister Labour, they are there, and the National Commissioner and General Masimula are working in terms of the level to put any form of assistance if it is necessary. So as she says, reading the statement, that we believe we are ready, indeed, that's what we believe we are ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Tele. Another taker, the gentleman in white. Yes, sir, continue.
I wanted to follow up on Nata's question, the high-risk areas that the minister spoke about. What threats have been identified exactly? Are we talking protests, disruptions of election processes and proceedings, or just general volatility?
Thank you, Takalani. Anybody else? None, ministers? Let's allow ministers to respond to this one, and then we'll take the online.
Well, in building this understanding, we take all issues on board. We started with the registration. There are stations that gave us indication on the registration day. Those stations would not have opened on time. Some station people were toying around them, didn't want them to be open. But I'm told that there are stations that are schools that the principal or whoever, they ran away with the keys. So those are put there as one priority kind of stations to work on them. The areas where the toy might interfere, remember, we got nothing to do with the legal, peaceful kind of protest. But it should not interfere with the rights of other people. For instance, if you toy and you protest and you block other people to go to vote, that you're committing crime on that one. Your rights should not interfere with other people's rights. So that's one. But two is to look, there would be obvious, like your ward, I think your ward 101 in eThekwini, where the candidate has been shot, Umkhize, like your ward 54 in eThekwini again, where those three aunties were shot, like Kwatuguza, where the candidate was shot, thanks God, survived, like Mabopane, where somebody... So that tells the police that you need to have a form of an extra understanding and put it on the high alert, maybe on the category 3. But there are other things that could be the threats that the police will monitor and put that particular station on that category, and or sometimes move it down. But we have about 370 to 300 at the present moment that are high, and then that's how you will be working and deploying accordingly to those stations. But as we speak, they have been identified. We have all the numbers, all the stations that are medium, low, and high. Thanks.
Sorry, just one more question, if I may. As far as your intelligence gathering is concerned, you haven't necessarily, detected specific incidents that you're going to focus on. So generally, if you hear that in Manilore, for instance, there may be some instability, you're just going to holistically focus on that area. But there hasn't been a threat specific to, say, a voting station. Is that what I'm getting?
It's where exactly I say we deploy accordingly. Yes. It depends the level. Others could be even double high risk, and then we deploy accordingly. ICC and Net Joints and NICOC, they would know those specifics. You might even understand the people that might be problematic in that particular day there. But those are things that we can't really come and put on the table here. Is accordingly that we're using that we'll have to deploy. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Minister. We will now take the rounds from the virtual questions. Can we start with Takalan?
Thank you, Program Director. The first question that we have from the online platforms is from Lisa Katamba from the Mail and Guardian. And the question is, what are the criteria that we used in classifying the hotspots? And the last two questions are from Mopukanya from Jacaranda FM. And the first question, I think it has already been answered on the threats of unrest during the elections. But the following question is, how many politically linked murders have been recorded in these elections compared to the 2016 local government elections? And the last question, still from Mopukanya from Jacaranda FM, said on the political task team, Minister Tsele has been accused of having a conflict of interest and interfering in the task team's affairs to the benefit of the ANC, and how true is these accusations? Back to Program Director. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Let's have the second segment.
Yes, Chair, I just have a few questions on Zoom. The first one from Stembile Pele from Bloomberg News says, can Minister Modise clarify if the SADF deployment from July unrest is still on the street or national key points? If yes, how many? And finally, is there any update on finding the 12 instigators from the July unrest? And I have another question from Thomas Labwana from IMFS News. What is the total number of suspected political murders in the build-up to the elections, and in which areas? Beyond the extra security that will be deployed to hotspots, will the specific areas which were affected by the July unrest and looting also have the extra security? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, colleagues and ministers. I hand over to you, sir.
The Justice Ministry there briefing the media on their state of readiness for the local government elections. Let's just give you some highlights of what came out of there. Monday, the 1st of November, of course, is a public holiday. Minister Modise saying security measures are in place to ensure free and fair elections. Reserve police forces will be on standby in case there is violence there. Law enforcement agencies will be at every voting station. That's what's been promised. Modise says that they urge political party leaders not to make inflammatory statements, also saying that people inciting violence is a criminal offence and warning people not to do that. Let's go back to that briefing then.
Of that period, the South African National Defence Force members are brought back to base. So we currently do not have anybody deployed there in support of the police. As I said earlier on, we are now on standby to be deployed in support of the police and the IEC should the need arise. But even when we get deployed as South African National Defence Force, our key responsibility will be to look at the national key points and all the other strategic installations. And that is very specific because those, if you touch those, you actually start tampering with the image, the sovereignty, and the right of this country to stand up amongst other nations. And therefore, that becomes our business. You begin to touch our symbols of authority and democracy. So we will protect the Constitution and her people when you start tampering with key installations, when you start blocking the strategic roads which ferry goods from other countries inland and into other countries, because you then begin tampering with the image of South Africa in Africa and across the world. So we will be on standby to do those. As of now, we are not. We are on standby. I think many of them are yours, isn't it? The questions.
Criteria of hotspots has been answered, was asked in the House, and that has been answered. Is the same answer. Political killings, I guess, in the period towards elections. That's what we have said, that we would have about 6 in KZN. Those were 3 ladies that were killed in 54, some few weeks ago. And it will be the candidate Mkhize. He was killed together with his comrade Nyama in the place of Kato Crest in KZN. And then it would be the candidate that belongs to the AFF that was killed in Maritzburg. That gives us 6 people that specifically would be regarded as people died in the period leading to elections. But there have been some other crimes committed. I know that Kwatuguza, there was an attempted murder on the councillor there, and one person that was working on elections. Unfortunately, I'm told that people have been arrested there. So there is that. Then you come to Gauteng, you know, all of you, what happened to Tsepo in Mabopane. And Western Cape, the councillors have been killed there. It might be before this period, but there is a candidate that is killed linked with this period. And I don't know why they are hating female politicians, because most of the people that are killed in Western Cape, there would be female politicians. So specifically those will be the people linked. People, they still die in terms of criminal activities, they're shot and all that. And sometimes people would want to push it to be a political killing. It's determined by the investigation if it needs to. But most of the cases that I'm talking about have been handed over on those provinces, especially in KZN, to the political task team that is there. Maybe that I'm talking about political task team, and the question has been, I'm really saddened. I'm really saddened that a very seasoned academia could write what she wrote about the political task team in KZN. I know her very well. We worked very closely, personally with her. I think if she had some issues, she would have picked other way and other path for us dealing with those things, and putting a lot of incorrect accusations there. One accusation is that I've refused to give the protection to the person that she spoke about, Zulu. That thing was investigated by the public protector, and public protector found Cele guilty on that one. That was taken to the review in the court of law. The judge said public protector was out of order. So, as this is a researcher in the School of Law, should have known that, what the judge has said about that these protections are for Department of Justice, not for Department of Police. She should know that. She's a researcher in the Department of Law. She should have known that. Secondly, she blames the task team, which has really done a tremendous work. And that task team was created after the IMC, but created by the National Commissioner of the South African Police, led by Khumalo. That is the team that has achieved 9 life sentences of the people that have murdering people there. 22 of those people have been given between 10 and 15 years. Some of them, many of them, are getting less years and all that. That's why we believe that the less blood that you see in KZN is out of that team. Somebody should know that if you are a researcher, and you know. But I'm not here to work on that, but I'm really saddened. The only thing I said, I'll call with academians, do your work, don't take sides here and enter politics. If you want to enter politics, come to politics. But if you are a researcher in the academia, stay on your lane and say correct things. Instigators, they remain 18 around the people that are arrested for being instigators on that. Yes, there will be areas that were part of the unrest in July that are determined, especially around the province of KZN, and but looked at it accordingly. The last one, this is Tembile Kaele, not Kaele.
Thank you, Minister Cele. Siyabonga mphathiswa. Ladies and gentlemen, if there aren't any other questions from either Zoom or the other platform, go ahead.
Yes, Chair. Again, it's Tembile. Minister Cele mentioned the multi-brothers kidnapping in Kulupane. Have the police made any progress on the matter? In light of the need to create a safe and secure environment for successful elections, can South Africans trust the SAPS when just recently a police station was robbed of its weapon? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last question, unless on Zoom.
Program Director, we do have questions that are coming from WhatsApp, and there's a question that is coming from Asiringo from Capital Life, and the question is, how confident are the ministers about people's rights to vote in places like Pima or Kanyamazan in Mpumalanga, as we experienced unrest this morning, with police folding their hands, while people's rights to go to work or perform their daily duties were held on hold by a certain group of people. And when are you going to start deploying so people can be confident of safety on the day? And there's questions from Erin Bates from Business Day. The short and straightforward 5 questions. And the first one is, how many full-time police will be on duty for elections nationwide? The second one, how many police reservists are on standby nationwide? And the third one, how many SANDAF members will be on duty during elections? And the following question, what has your security assessment identified as the most high-risk hotspot or area in the country? And the last question is, what role has SSA played in the security assessment? And back to you, Program Director. Thanks.
Thank you very much. May I just indicate that the last 2 questions the ministers have dealt with, the SSA one and the security high-risk areas has been dealt with. We will deal with just a few. How many SANDF, how many reservists, and how many police? Thank you very much, ministers.
I'm sure journalists should have learned by now that we don't deal with figures here. You are really refusing to learn on this one. So you want us to tell you how many police will be there? No. The statement said there'll be adequate policing. And let's stay there. What do you want to do? To go and plan accordingly? Planning for these numbers? No. It will be enough. For the fact that they are low, medium, and high risk, definitely deployment in the low risk will be less than the medium, and deployment on the high risk will be less than the high risk, and most will be high risk. But also there will be reserve pool. If anywhere around there is needed, that will happen. So these figure games, let's stop it, and please learn that security people will not give you the figures now, tomorrow, and the other time. Maybe they'll change in next time. But while we are here, figures, they become the part of the security protection, and working on that, except that you will be responding. Polokwane, kidnapping, the police management from the National Commissioner and those people that they deal with those matters have created a team that is working there. It's a multi-approach team. I know that the police are working with the social development, the health, and many other people that they're working together, and other structures, even community structures that are working there. They put a lot of technology working there, moving from the headquarters of the police, working with the provincial structures, and we are having progress. It's a difficult case, no doubt about it, but we are having a progress. There have been follow-ups on these matters, and maybe it will end here, and they take that detour to follow that. Up to this point, with the latest reports and all that, we are hopeful that the police will crack this case. It's a definitely 24/7 kind of operation for the South African police and all structures that are involved there. Yes, in Western Cape there is a police station that was a break-in. What confidence? We have 1,158 police stations in the Republic of South Africa. talk about one that has been broken in. Criminals now and again will take their chances. That follows the one that was broken in some few months in Northern Cape. Fortunately, all those were found, all guns were found, all ammunition was found, and we are very sure that as police are pursuing this, they'll be also found. But it will be awkward that one police station faces this problem and you begin not to trust 1,158 police stations in the country. That's how many police stations are in the country. I have answered the question of numbers. I'm not going to go there. I don't know. The security assessment is done. SSA is a part of the net joints, is a part of the ICC, is a part of the NICOC, so all their inputs are there. Maybe, Minister, with your figures, mine are not told, maybe yours are told.
Minister, my figures are told once they have become official. There's a letter that has come from the Minister and the President and into Parliament, then the figures become public and official. So far, I have said that we are on standby. We're not yet certain of the numbers that we are looking at, but we are looking at all the strategic installations across the country. So nobody must think that we will miss the one in my village. Yahaescom, we will be keeping an eye there. So don't take chances and think that we are going to forget any. We will be looking at that. We have not yet deployed, and therefore as and when the President gives us the numbers that he requires and they are sent to Parliament, we will make that information public. There's a question which I think Minister Cele, we might want to entertain a little bit deeper. This one of why should people have confidence that the elections will be free and fair when we have failed to prevent people from going to work because of some disruptions. Now, South Africans are free to take their complaints and to into the streets about any issue. They are free. They can complain about anything. They can stand in corners. That's their right. We fought very hard for that right. The only bad thing about that right is when it takes away somebody else's right to go and earn a living. And that we strongly condemn. So I think, Minister Cele, we must say that people in South Africa choose whether to participate in public gatherings or not. So for every right, there is its counterbalance. So we do regret that, but that does not mean we will not be on standby to make sure that every South African that wishes to go into a voting station is not prevented and is given the right to vote and to go home safely. That is the right that we are prepared to safeguard, because otherwise all the things that we have been doing in this country is boasting about a constitution mean nothing if the people cannot exercise these basic rights. So I just wanted to say that Minister Cele and your department will have to make sure that those people are not interrupted when they want to go to work. And we might even want to say that the children must not be stopped from going to school because adults are going into their own squabbles around issues of social delivery at the receiving point. We must not disrupt any other person's right because we feel we are aggrieved about anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Before we close, may I just ask Minister Mtsoaledi just to speak a little bit on the office hours and the operations, if you may, Minister.
And so the Justice Cluster briefing there to the media on the state of readiness and state of security.
It's clear that they understood. Yes, they understood very well, but maybe you just wanted to make sure that I'm still awake in the meeting. I was. Yeah, no. Basically, what we are saying is that from the 18th of October 2021, you'll remember it was following the announcement by the president that we are going down to lock level 1. We realized that there was a high demand for services in Home Affairs offices because before lock level 1, certain services were not provided for. Like people were not allowed to apply for passport except under exceptional circumstances. We were not giving them smart ID cards. We were giving them temporary IDs. But when we went down to lock level 1, we opened. There was an avalanche of people who approached Home Affairs offices, and the normal working hours could not cope. So we increased the working hours by 2.5 hours in 197 offices out of 412. The 197 offices are the ones that are modernized, which we call live capture, where you can apply for a passport or a smart card. Not every Home Affairs office can give you a passport or a smart card because that's high, it's a sophisticated function that needs specific modernization. And that modernization exists in 197 offices. So that's why we opened them. But then we are saying on Saturday the 30th and Sunday the 31st of October, because these are days of special votes, as well as the voting date, the normal voting date on the 1st of November, all the 412 offices in Home Affairs will be open. As long as the IEC is open, will be open to issue documents whoever will need them. Whoever has lost an ID, maybe after registering, but the ID get lost or misplaced, etc., they'll get temporary IDs. So our working hours will match the IEC working hours so that nobody is disadvantaged. Thank you very much. Well, the issue of offline is a very, very big problem in Home Affairs. We have even gone to the portfolio committee to debate it many times. We are doing everything in our power not to let it happen. But it does happen for several reasons. For instance, we can go offline because of load shedding. But in that regard, we have made sure that all Home Affairs offices, except a very, very tiny few, have got generators to do so. Sometimes we go offline because they've stolen a cable. And stealing cables is something that we are all fighting in government, especially with police. Once a cable is stolen, other government departments may continue working, but not so Home Affairs. Then sometimes the SITA systems do go, cause a downtime, or sometimes the Home Affairs itself. So we've got a team on standby. Even during the registration period, we had 7 technicians all over the country on standby to make sure that it doesn't happen. And if it so happens that it does take place, because it's something that is unforeseen, by the way, the downtime. It's like a network systems being down. So when that happens, we'll rush. Yesterday, I was in a village called Linting, where I went with the Premier of Limpopo. and the MEC for Health, were doing a big VUMA in a church, in a very big church, the New Generation Church. And we took 5 Home Affairs trucks there, and lots of people in the village who came. But the networks went off. MTN, Vodacom, they were not functioning. We had to get a technician from Polokwane to rush, and maybe for about an hour or so, we couldn't work. So those are some of the things that do take place in Home Affairs. Small technical disturbance like that do take us off course, but we are ready even for this election, and we are hoping it will never happen. Thank you very much.
Ministers and colleagues, we have come to the end of the session. May I take this opportunity on behalf of the cluster ministers to thank you very much, those that were online and those that were on Zoom, and those that were with us here, and the officials, and Minister Lamula, who has been on virtual. Thank you very much, and all the best. Let's all go to the elections and vote. Thank you.
We spoke to see when they said no, I let this to you. That's why I changed that. What dress we will shut the foot in?
Yeah, I let